what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dance Golf World Show. Of course, as always, action-packed. What are we looking at this week? A lot going on in TGL. They had 4 matches in 1 week. They're going for the gold there. I'm here for it. I'll watch all of them. Also, we're going to touch on Gary's first trip to TGL. Got a lot of stories coming from there. Also, LIV Golf, PGA, they're at the White House. They're trying to get this thing settled. We're going to dive in and see if there's anything new to learn from that. Also, Bryson DeChambeau finally breaks 50. All that and more right here on the Dance Golf World Show. Gentlemen, we're back together for another week, but we're together in a different way than we might be used to. Rich, welcome into the studio.
Thank you. It's great to be here. This place looks great.
I mean, this, you're not looking through a little monitor and a screen. Like, we're here, we're live, we're in HD. We got this screen going on. You're running the Josh chair.
I'm running and that screen. I messed up on this screen already. Oh my goodness.
God.
All right, let's see. Is this, I don't know. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. All right, Josh Rich.
There we go.
But also, you could see Josh is joining us here as well.
He looks a little tanner in that photo.
The funny thing is like I'm finding golf tees all over the place here. So I'm just hoping not to get pegged with the golf tees today.
Well, keep things in line and,
Pencil.
If anybody disagrees with one of my unhinged takes, you might get a handful of tees tossed your way. But Josh, of course, he's gone. He's on a cruise, and hopefully, I don't know, he's enjoying his time away. We'll see.
Hopefully, he brought plenty of sunscreen and Pokemon cards. I hope his pasty skin burns more than the handful of preparation H I had to apply this morning.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you, Gizmo. I'm sorry to hear that you're having those issues.
I hope I'm not downwind from him.
Just take it all in, Gary. Take a big whiff. There you go. Just snortle it in. Man, I feel like we got to jump right in. TGL this week was action-packed. Rich, I don't know if you watched. There were 4 matches. We had 3 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday. Gary and I flew down there. We were live and on the scene for these 4 exciting matches. But I will say, man, going from 1 a week to like 4, if you're into this TGL thing, it was like a buffet of TGL to be had. But I feel like it all went well. They were good matches, right? I mean, come on.
Except for Tigers.
Well, the first 3 that they had, there was 3 back to back, like all day long.
Yeah.
That was absolutely awesome. Like, I mean, it was like golf all day long. The new hammer rules are fantastic.
All right, let's jump into that. Let's just jump right into these new hammer rules. So before the way it went, one of the teams, I'm not sure how it was decided, whether it was home or away, but one team started with a hammer, and until they threw it, they sort of held on to it. And if that team took an early lead, we were seeing that a competitive strategy was being used to just hold on to it. Why put it out there and give these guys a chance to double up and start coming back on us? Obviously, that's probably the best gameplay strategy to use it in that format if you are winning.
But it was so boring.
It was. That was the issue, is we want to see those hammers get thrown,
right, yeah.
So they switched it up. I think they took some words and advice from, I don't know, the internet, the comment section, wherever it all came from. And they said, we got to come up with a new strategy here. And they decided that we're going to give each team 3 hammers to start, and you could throw them at any time. Nobody's holding the hammer hostage. And we saw some serious hammer throwage. And I think it really added to the excitement of the matches.
There's quite a few like hammers thrown that were like thrown with such dramaticness. Like, well,
yes.
Like the guy was putting and he throws like right before, and then he just continues to putt without accepting, which caused a little tribulation between the referee and the players. And like in my head, like, well, it was thrown. He knew it was thrown because it was in his, and then he committed. So yeah,
I think it was Lucas Glover. He was standing over his broomstick putter, getting ready to, kind of do his thing. And the hammer was thrown and it didn't phase him. No. You know what I mean? Dude stayed locked, stayed dialed on the putt. And
with the thousands of people all talking and being loud, because it's just loud at TGL.
And the lights all change whenever the hammer's thrown. Right. And dude just stays dialed, boom, and hits the putt. I guess it kind of made me think that, was anything ever discussed that if a hammer's thrown, everybody has to stop and reset and like acknowledge the hammer and then relook at your putt?
Discussed because they had such a conversation after, because there was like a 2-minute thing for that.
Yeah,
he didn't re-putt, right?
No, he just made the putt and things moved on.
So what I think what the official rule was, because I was seeing it on TV opposed to you guys actually being there,
Yeah.
Luckies, What they said is the ref actually, there's a certain part, there's that official referee. He used to be an NBA guy or something like that. He put his arm out, and once he puts his arm out, it's like, okay, no hammers can be thrown or anything like that.
Ooh.
So his hand
the roulette wheel, you know what I mean? Like, no more bets.
No more bets. Yeah.
No more bets.
So he put his hand out. They threw the hammer after the arm went out. So the putt still counted, and they weren't able to. It didn't count for 2 points. Did not.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
So they actually picked up the hammer, and they still got to keep it.
I liked when Justin Thomas like laid it in the Sam trap like over.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Well, I think with TGL, it's so fun to be there.
Yeah.
In the room, the energy, seeing the players, being up close. But at the same time, the broadcast is great too, because you are hearing the commentators going back and forth, the guys up in the booth, and kind of hearing how that stuff works out. So I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll turn into like one of these old guys at the baseball game with my radio and like the big antenna or something, I don't know. Because there's advantages to both, you know what I mean? But I will say I do appreciate Lucas Glover's just focus in that moment.
Totally.
Just like, I'm here. I'm over the broomstick. I'm not resting it against me like Bernhard Langer at the PNC. Don't get me started. And that dude just drills the putt. It made for good competition, good TV, all around powerful moment.
It just shows that the focus that those guys have, right? It's just block out everything. I am focused here. That's what's going on. That's it,
And for how many times you like go through a pre-shot routine and like hitting golf balls, like when I hit in front of somebody like at the convention thing for the long drive, like hands, target, chest, and then boom.
Well, I will say, speaking of focus and distraction, we had a moment with Tiger Woods.
Yes.
And, again, being in the audience, you don't hear, even the stuff like, from the mic'd up conversations and things. So it was kind of one of those things you had to go back and really rewatch to understand what took place. But ultimately, he had a 199-yard golf shot to be made, and Tiger perceived that or heard or whatever that it was a 99-yard golf shot. So he pulls out a wedge and hits what would be a regular 100-yard shot all day long, and was about 100 yards short of his goal, of his target. And it was one of those things where it's like, a clear mistake. There's a lot going on. Things are moving quick. But for Tiger, you could tell he was deeply embarrassed from this moment.
He so was.
But Rich, from the viewing side and tuning in and watching, was it a miscommunication? Do you think it was just loud? He didn't hear him? Like, what is your take on what really went down there?
So I went and rewatched the clip several times because, of course, on TikTok, it's just like everybody's replaying it. They clearly tell him 99 2 times. 2 separate times. They just say 99. Not 199. They both times they say 99. But I think it's kind of one of those things.
It's
like
golf shorthand.
It's golf shorthand.
I think I did it to you when we were playing in Florida. You're like, how far is it? I'm like, it's 35.
Yeah.
Like, it was a 135.
Right. Yes.
Obviously, it's not 35.
And so I think they just said 99. And in
he asked twice.
He asked twice. They said it twice. But in Sim World, like, you don't have that reference of knowing, like, that looks 199 or that looks 99.
Well, right, because the screen itself is already 70.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then plus, not, whatever. And obviously him re-asking it, there was a little,
hesitation,
unsure kind of a feeling he was having. But what I'm surprised about is even in the sort of post-round interview they did with the guys, like, we saw him grab wedge and, but
so like
I brought this up to Gary and I said this. I said, do you think there's an element of this that you've got Kevin Kisner and you've got Tom Kim and they're playing with Tiger Woods, arguably the greatest golfer of all time. He's grabbing a wedge. Do you question what Tiger's doing? He might be pulling some Tiger Woods voodoo magic that he's going to hit this crazy shot and he knows how to do something, so I feel like on one hand, they might be like, hey, Tiger, you got wedge. Hold on, time out. Let's revisit this. Or it's like, dude, Tiger's doing some Tiger stuff. Like, let's just let him roll. That's got to be an interesting dynamic having Tiger Woods on your team and how you respond to situations like that.
And especially because he like owns it.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing though, too, which I've said a billion times, his mom passed away. So his headspace, he even said in the interview, like, it was hard to even drive here.
Yeah.
So like, and then like the opening question was like blah blah, and like you could just tell it like his face and it was like tearing me up, dude. Like it felt bad for the guy, and I think he did wonderful, and it was funny though. I think it's nice to see that because he was embarrassed.
Yeah,
like, I think you're getting nail on the head there. Like, can you imagine being Kim? Like, how long has he been playing for? Like,
well, right. He talked about like, you know, whatever year he was born, like 2002 or something like that.
Like, you were born after 2000. He's like, what did you do? Yeah, I won the Masters and a couple other. Like,
how many majors did Tiger even already have by that year?
And that he won that year.
Yeah,
like, you know. And so you have that. So you have this golf icon, the greatest player of all time. I'm not saying anything.
Right?
Like, you know, I also think, I kind of feel like, so you got the Bay Club, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York, Jupiter Links, and Boston Commons.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is the two strongest players, Rory and Tiger, are last place.
Yeah.
Right? They're both missing the playoffs. Do the other teams feel like, are they having better communication with each other and they're having better team spirit and team camaraderie? Because it's, you know, like if the three of us are all going out there, I know you two are better at golf than me, but I don't have a problem asking you a question or you asking me a question and back and forth, where Tiger grabs his wedge and you're like, I don't want to say anything.
Well, I think
I don't want to say anything.
Tiger.
Right? Like,
Mr. Woods.
yeah, Mr. Woods. Can you?
And what would Matty Ice was like, I saw, they're like, is that a wedge? And I was like, yeah, it looks like a wedge. And it was a wedge. But I like that, like they said 99 and it hit at 100.
Right.
Yeah. I just dialed. I mean, perfectly dialed to the number that he perceived to hit.
Yes.
No questions
But
asked.
here's another thing. Rory and Tiger are running this thing. It's brand new. They have 50 billion other side things they're doing.
Right.
So, and also Tiger is not a team player by far. Like he literally isolates people when he was winning.
However,
but
he's fantastic in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, he is a team player. But then
that's a good point.
But that's also another dynamic. Like there's no music, there's no lights. They're always yelling. Well, they are, but they're not crazy. But it's all these little things that I think he's just going to adapt into his pre-shot routine and just become better the next time.
But and I also do see like, so because Jupiter Links, they were like with the first team that played, right? Opening night.
No, actually it was 10. It was like 10 hours of like whatever the first day, Monday, and then Tuesday was Jupiter.
Tiger Woods sat in the booth the first night and did some commentating and things like that. So yeah, he wasn't the opening match.
The first time that he played.
Okay.
I feel like the team is getting better, even though they had this huge disaster of a mistake hitting it 99 yards.
Or Kisner just pounding the flag stick, you know what I mean?
All of that.
Ultimately saving somebody's life.
Yes.
I mean, clearly the flag stick is the MVP and saved someone's life that night.
But I do feel like they're just they're gelling a little bit more now.
Yeah.
You know, they're just more becoming friends. You're seeing like chest bumps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, because that's not Tiger's style at all, doing stuff like that.
Well, and you know, even like LAGC, and we've talked before, like in some of the press conferences and things, they have a dynamic together, a friendship, a camaraderie. They come in smiling. I mean, they're like side hugging each other. And you know, not every team acts like that when they walk in. Right. You know what I mean? And I wonder, you know, LA has done really well in this. How much of that camaraderie and team spirit really plays into it? I mean, because we know, you know, in other pro sports, Rich, you could probably talk more on this, but they talk so much about the team. It's all about, I'm showing up for my team. I wouldn't let my team down. You know, it's so much about this team atmosphere creates team wins.
I kind of love how Tiger, the GOAT, is making all these errors that are like the shot clock.
Yeah.
And then 99. And it's just like, dude, Tiger's the one just doing it.
Yeah. Well, but it's also like fish out of water. I mean, for all of them, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, Tiger Woods, like, you know, you've talked about, he's this guy who he's used to shutting the world out. Like, does he even hear the heartbeat clock? You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's been the guy. I mean, we see those replays where they're filling the fairway and the cops are keeping people out of the way so he can walk to his next shot. You know,
Which just happens so many times.
And through that, he's still in the moment, right here, my next shot, what I'm doing, what I'm accomplishing. And so you get in TGL and you're boo, 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 boo. Is that even in his ears? You know?
Well, so I don't remember who it was, but somebody was getting ready to do a putt.
Yeah.
And they hammered him, like he was getting really close to the time, and they're like, hey, we should throw a hammer because they needed the points to win, or he needed the points for something. And the hammer ultimately didn't matter, but he talked about afterwards. He's like, actually, you throwing that hammer helped me a ton.
Because he got extra time.
Because he got extra time, and he got to putt without the heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because he was saying that he was like, when you hear that heartbeat, do-doom, do-doom, he's like, you start feeling it, and it's like, wait, is that my heartbeat, or is that the heartbeat that's going on? And you start getting confused, and so it helped out huge.
And what's crazy is for my heartbeat in real life, there's two things. I hate when somebody, like, I'm look at my shot, I go up and then they ask me a question or tell me something about the hole or the undulation. And then secondly, like if I have like some crazy shot and I have an iron and like I hear the guy go, you'll never make it over that. I go, yeah, well, your feeble mindset. I go, shut up. I go, watch.
Dad?
Now I'm going to mess up because you put your insecurity in me. Otherwise, I already had this shot shaped. Why don't you just wait and see? And then, so that's
so is that what's going on in Kim's mind and everybody's mind when Tiger grabs his wedge?
like, don't say anything.
Right?
Don't say nothing.
You can't hit that with a wedge.
Has
You're
he
not
been
gonna hit
practicing
200
his
with
skull?
that.
Yeah.
Like,
It is what it is.
So we've all now at this point have been to TGL. We've been in the room, experienced it. But Gary, you are the latest member to join the TGL Live Club. What were some of the unexpected parts? Was there anything that you got there and you're like, wow, this is different than I drew it up in my mind?
Oh man. One, I didn't know how much fun it was gonna be if you didn't if you didn't want to watch it for a while, you go play beanbags, you go play ping pong, you go hit in simulators. They got 2 of them. And that's what I did. I flip flop. And then it was not like too big. And it's so intimate with the fans. And because you could see everybody like crystal clear. So I love that. There's just 55,000 things, and the computer screens it's just the amount of effort that goes into it technically is amazing.
Were the screens, the hitting screen, the side screens, all that, was it bigger than you imagined?
Yeah, like the undulations.
Yeah,
undulation.
Like literally, I didn't know there was a huge dip, and watching the kids run down, they were going full force. It's like when somebody would fall.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
No, it's gonna happen.
The green was huge, and
how about the green as far as all of the undulation around, not the actual green itself, but the hills and stuff around it?
Absolutely.
When I was there, that was so much larger than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You don't realize that it moves. You can't say in the back or in the right, but there's a particular bump. It's the highest.
Yes.
That if you are standing on the flat area, it is, I would say, taller than I am. I mean, and you don't always really get that perspective because the cameras are moving around, or some of the cameras are up at eye level with the players. So you don't realize the difference in that. I mean, it is just all bigger and more grand when you're in the room. It's wild.
Where we sit, we get to watch the tee shots really well, but you don't really get to see the behind the green. So next time I'm going to walk up into a different section and see the green and watch them putt more. Cause that was something cool. But, we walk it. So I literally have Tiger Woods dreams all the time. I'm playing with them. The course literally goes up into the sky and up, and you're looking at it. It's crazy. Or I'm walking into places where only Tiger could go, and I'm behind him. And I had the pass. So I was
still wearing your pass.
Yeah.
Have you taken it off yet?
Yeah, a couple times. But
I love that he's wearing it still.
It's just
I have mine in my bag, but
it's a little dream come true to be able to walk past people, give them a head nod, and then take pictures, and then kids and the dads are up in the stands, and they're kind of looking at you who's this guy? Just having people walk in on your phone with the other media guys, they're you can just sense that the people are I want to be a part of that group. And I was finally part of that group. Thank you. And it was probably one of the best golf experiences of my life. And Right when we get there, he says hi to his DJ friend.
Dude, he's so cool.
Dude's crazy cool. I popped over by him. I was like, yo, Irene. He turns around. He's like, yo, like, boom, daps me up, big hug, like, whatever, you know.
Super friendly.
2 quick seconds, just saying hi, whatever. You know, it was just like instantly like, like we're old best friends or something. Like, dude's got killer energy. Super cool, dude.
And that's another thing about TGL and the workers and the media and everybody. Everybody seems like they love their job. They want to be there. And now it's like, everybody's happy. It's like there's not a miserable like person in there, and it's just great to feel that vibe.
Except for the team that lost.
That's a good takeaway though, because I didn't put that all together when I was there. But you are 100% right. There was not like no attitudes, like everybody, huge smile on their face, just excited.
As soon as I walked in, I had my Sunday Red. He's like, Sunday Red, we vibe with that. I'm like, we vibe with it all the time. Dan's doing like this video for the big rover machine that one guy controls it and the other guy, you know, does the camera. So we're up on the second balcony, which most people can't go up on. And all of a sudden I'm like, so Garrett Clark, I'm like, what? And I pan over to the big screen. I'm like, oh, there he is.
Because Garrett Clark is now a fractional owner, or Good is a fractional owner of LAGC. LAGC was playing. Garrett Clark came on the field, did an interview, goes back to the owner's box, yada, yada, yada. That's where we're headed.
That's awesome.
It was funny because it came together so quick. You know, I just talked to somebody from the media. I was like, hey, I'd love to just grab a quick interview with Garrett. I don't know if that's possible. They're like, well, let's go check and see if he's up for it or whatever. They come right back and they're like, yeah, he's in. I'm like, cool. Just let me know. We're ready whenever. He goes, no, right now.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. So like instantly I'm like, I am so not prepared. I have like no questions thought up, and we're like already walking there, and I'm like, you know, trying to show Gary what's going on because everything's moving quick, how I want it framed, whatever. Super cool dude.
Wonderful person.
Super cool dude.
Super tall.
Just instantly was just like, dude, what's up, man? Great to meet you. You know, whatever. And we just talked, and he was laughing and just got right into it. It was fun. You know what I mean? There's sometimes you kind of get thrown into these interviews and you don't really know what you're going to get, or you don't really get much energy back. Obviously he's a professional. He films all day, all night. That's his whole thing. I mean, he's one of the best at it. But at the same time, you never know as the interviewer, like what kind of energy you're going to get back. And he gave it. It was just very cool. Felt great. I mean, I kept it quick like I always do. Just a few questions, boom, boom, boom. But of course, because it all happened so quick, you know, throughout the course of that day and the next, I just kept going to Gary, and we were doing it back and forth. I was like, oh, you know what I could have asked him? And Gary's like, oh, you should have, you know, it was like the back and forth thing. But it was like, you know, went great. It was cool. But there was also that everything happened so quick that all the things you replay in your mind that would have been fun to talk about and get into. And again, it was cool. It was totally great. A lot of fun. Walk us through the conversation that we had as we were walking away from Garrett Clark.
Oh God. So I stopped the video and I looked for it, and I had filmed him coming in from the whatever angle. So I'm like, Dan, I don't think I got it. And I'm not going to do the impression of him. Like, I don't know. I never felt so.
And
bitch.
So we're walking back.
You didn't record
I
it?
got
it. We're walking back with the media guy who was bringing us there and bringing us back. And Gary's going, Dan, I don't think I recorded
Honestly,
it.
I'll do it.
I'll
be like,
there.
Dan, I don't think I got it. Dan, please tell me it's here. Dan, is it here?
So I'm just like,
Calm
Gary,
down.
just shut up, because if we didn't get it, this is the most embarrassing thing on the planet, and he can hear us. I'm like, so just we'll just figure it out in a minute. Let's just be cool.
Unless
We're
you hit a wedge from 99.
And I saw it. I mean, talk about absolutely, and agreeably. You know what I mean? And I was just like, we got to take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Let's get back in there. We get back in there. And I go, and I'm like, oh, it's right here. We had it.
I went through how I would react if I was Dan. I was like, this is going to ruin the friendship. This is going to ruin every, I couldn't forgive my
Pokemon and bowling if that didn't work out. Sorry, Josh.
So I got to ask, cause I know you haven't edited the video and put it out yet, but was this before or after the break 50?
This was after, and one of the things that we're like, man, we could have talked about that. That'd have been great.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Again, it's just one of those things where stuff is happening so quick.
You had 20 seconds.
Literally.
20 seconds.
And during the 20 seconds, it's like, okay, here's how I want to shoot it. Do it like this. Right. Is my mic working? Check the levels. Check the levels. We got levels. You know, there's some other exciting TGL news that just broke.
Go on.
Speaking of LAGC, Tony Finau joins LAGC for one single match.
Fun.
He has a 1-match contract in order to play LAGC.
How does that work?
So apparently there's a scheduling conflict, and Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood cannot make a particular match. So they only have a 2-man team.
Yeah.
These guys all have busy schedules. It makes sense. So they apparently contacted Tony Finau to sign a 1-game agreement, 1 match, 1 week, 1 time only. So coming up very shortly, there's going to be a brand new first timer, a new addition to the LAGC team. And we're going to be seeing Tony Finau out there.
I like some Tony Finau.
I definitely like me some Tony Finau. And you know what? I've always liked him, but I felt like I liked him even more after Full Swing, watching, him, the whole kind of, he's like the family man, flying around, traveling, bringing like his family. He's got tons of kids. And he's just I don't know, it seems like a really, really cool guy. So I think that'll be fun and exciting. Get some Tony Finau action out there on the TGL golf course. They're going to be playing against New York, the New York GC. So we will see how that stacks up. So I guess
they're going to destroy him.
It would be so if Tommy and Justin Rose can't play, that leaves Colin and who's the other member?
I got it right here. It is Colin and
what do you got?
Wait, what?
It's reading. Well, I'm trying to figure out who's going to be playing that night with Tony. If Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood are missing,
Rose and
Halal. I don't know how to say his name.
Which one?
You could be our new Josh.
Right? Totally.
Come on.
He's got the really complicated.
No, just give it a shot.
Thee.
No.
Thigala.
That's what it is.
Sahith Thigala.
Oh, dude, I love him.
Gary loves him.
Tell Sahith to get off.
He's a great. The thing I really think out of all of the teams, I think LA's got the most team feel, or
it'll be interesting. And I imagine because Tony's just such like a cool, chill seeming dude. I mean, I don't know him, but from what we can perceive, that I feel like he's just going to fall right into that. And I also feel like he's going to be, all right, guys, you've done this. I haven't. How does this go? What do I need to know? What do I need to look out for? You know what I mean? An interesting thing, for the weeks past, it really seems like Colin Morikawa is like the strategist and the gameplay guy. And so I asked this question. I threw it out in the press conference. I said, with Colin being sort of the strategist, gameplay mind of the team, with him not here this week, did one of you guys have to step up and take that role? Is it sort of already been set? You guys have your gameplay strategy in mind. How did you guys work through that this week? And it was fun.
Justin Rose said,
great
question.
And it was fun because they really kind of dove into that for a minute and really kind of went back to it's no longer about a single person stepping up, that it's a part of the team now. Like they have this plan and then we execute it according to how this thing sort of rolls out. So I really do feel like Tony Finau is going to be a fun fit.
So do we know what's happening with Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood? Like what they're doing?
So I looked in the closest thing I could find is it's a scheduled break. So they have this long stretch of competitive play, and that was an off week that they both need for not playing competitively to come back and continue out their schedule. That was the best thing I could find. I can't verify that that's 100% true, but that was what my search results led me to, is that it's an off week for them that they need, which I can't blame.
Before moving on, should we talk about 2 minutes of like how much golf was played between you and me?
I guess.
All right, I want to hear it.
All right.
When we were at the course at like 6:45, and we're about to tee off, and we played 36, but technically we kind of played like 45.
Is this some kind of golf math? We're like
so
36.
Here was
to
this
45.
fun thing. So we played this golf course. It was slam packed.
Yeah.
Part of our round we were cruising, and then we ran into a Tuesday women's league, and there was a lot of very old women, and so they were just playing slow, and we were flying, and it felt like we hit a brick wall. And so anyway, we get through, and we get to this kind of a cool point because we were doing 2 loops. We're like, if we get there super early, one of the first tee times, we can get 2 rounds in before we have to go back to TGL at night. So on our second loop, it was just so slow, and we were stuck behind this group that I'm sorry, like they were hitting it 20 yards and then hitting it again, and there was 4 of them all doing this, and it was just
great that they're out there. It's great that they're enjoying that.
Awesome for them. But here's us leaving -3 degrees in Chicago, just wanting to get maximum golf in, and we're just like, like this is painful. So it even got to the point where while we were waiting on the tee box, I was just chipping for like 20 minutes, like hitting towards the tee marker, hitting towards the blue tees and the white tee, and like just like whatever, just trying to like keep a golf club in my hand and do something.
I honestly started reading a book.
We got to this beautiful point at the turn. They stopped for some glizzies and we passed them.
Because they weren't backed up at all.
I wanted a glizzy, but I'm like, if we go, we're going to get screwed.
But here was the great part. In front of them were a twosome of slower ladies, and then there was the foursome of even slower ladies. So
and then you guys.
So we got in between.
Okay.
And the twosome we kept catching up to, but the foursome was falling farther and farther behind. So we would go back and play the hole again. So we would play some of the holes 2,
insane?
even 3 times. And it was a blast. It was so fun. We were making up games. We're like, okay, cool. Let's drop a ball here. Whoever can chip it to this or that or whatever. Or we did a hole where like, hey, 6-iron or pick any club. I picked 6-iron for the entire hole. All you can do is hit 6-iron. And we went back and played it again. Like,
and not only do we have the army of ladies and stuff, we have the entire greens crew, the guy cutting the tee boxes on our tee, only following us.
We were in this pace with the ground screw. They just kind of move hole to hole to hole.
Yeah.
We were at the same pace as them, so we were like trapped in this whole thing. The leaf blower was like following us for holes and holes.
Dude, at one point, Dan goes to hit, and here comes like 5 carts around the bend. And he goes, here comes the parade of service guys.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was fun, though.
LIV Golf and PGA Tour. LIV Golf and PGA Tour, they are seeking presidential help to solve this situation. Rich is trying to gather himself. And,
fun.
you know,
I feel like I'm going to get golf tees thrown at me soon.
No, not you.
All right. Oh, boy. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
LIV Golf PGA Tour. We're still trying to settle this thing. We're still trying to get to a resolution here. And obviously, we've heard quite a bit of news that the president has been involved helping these guys broker some of these back and forth negotiations. Well, that took us to yesterday, where on February 20th, so whatever date you're listening to this, I don't know if that would be your yesterday, February 20th, a pivotal meeting took place at the White House, initiated by President Donald Trump. Attendees included PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, player directors Tiger Woods and Adam Scott, and Yasser and I always screw this up, I'm going to josh this name, Ramiana, the governor of the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, the PIF, and the chairman of LIV Golf. This discussion focused on the potential reunification of professional golf. A joint statement from Monahan, Woods, and Scott emphasized their commitment to moving as quickly as possible to bringing the best players together more frequently for the fans.
Back to talking about the LIV Golf PGA deal again, are we?
Sure.
I don't give a shit if these guys ever make a deal. Those talentless hacks on any tour could never hold a candle to my short game. But my long game is what really impresses the ladies.
Okay, Gizmo. All right. Why don't we tone it down a notch here, buddy? Hey, speaking of Gizmo, hey, Rich.
Yeah.
I bought this for you at last year's Masters, and you haven't been here to the studio to get this.
Oh, I am so excited.
Gary, would you get this over to Rich? It's a mini Gizmo.
So I'm not gonna lie. You told me you got it for me.
Yes.
I was so excited about it. The one that you had sitting right there.
Yeah.
I thought you just like, well, I needed it for my set, so I just put it there. And so I didn't bring it up or anything because I just thought he was here. So I am so excited to have this. Like, it is going in my basement for sure. I got all kinds of like knickknacks, and my basement looks like
it's like a memorabilia collection zone. And now you have the official Mini Masters gnome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
That's quite welcome. And that also reminds us that we are now 49 days out from the Masters.
Let's go.
49 days out.
Gary, have you ever been to the Masters?
I got a Masters towel, though.
He does have a Masters towel.
Right.
It's a
I
nice
have a
one.
gnome.
It's authentic. Also authentic. I'm wearing a Masters. I
should have worn my green Masters tee that I have. That I got at the bait and tackle store.
People ask me, they're like, "What do you wear, Masters stuff every day?" I'm like, "Yeah, literally, yeah." Okay, LIV Golf PGA Tour. So This was actually a tweet from Dan Rappaport, who's with Scratch, used to be with Barstool. He retweeted this statement that came from Nuclear Golf. They said, just in, Golf Channel reports that today's White House meeting could result in a deal in principle by day's end between PGA Tour and PIF. Dan Rappaport replies, deal in principle has major framework agreement vibes. Holler when pen meets paper. Do you guys feel like we're back in the same loop of these terms that sound like a deal but aren't deal? Or do you think we're really going to get somewhere? Maybe that's going to be the magic combo. I mean, somebody to help. I mean, the art of the deal. That's what the guy's known for.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that everybody wants it done.
Yeah.
So the two heads just need to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this. Like, I want to see the best players play against each other.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this. Like, who cares that they took a bunch of money and they're playing this league? Like, that's fine. I think there's a place for LIV Golf. LIV Golf's absolutely a blast to go to.
Yeah.
It's expanding the golf fan base and everything like that. Yeah. The PGA is awesome. You go to the Masters, the reverence there is awesome as well. It's just different. So figure it out.
And here's what I find really interesting. There's rumors that potentially the LIV Golf players could be competing with PGA Tour players as soon as the Players Championship, which is just a few weeks out. But here's what I want to know with that. There is a field of players already. Do they just expand the field? Are there more players trying to make the cut? How does it work now? I mean, we're talking about pace of play. We're talking about, speeding up the game. Are they going to now throw in, I don't know, is it 10, 15, 20, all 40 or 50 of the LIV Golf players? Like, how do you do that? I mean, these guys who are PGA Tour card holders have their spot. They've earned it. They've worked their way in to have a PGA Tour card. What happens at the Players when you just inject a bunch of other competitors into this event? I mean, I don't know how you organize that. Could be interesting. I don't know. But what I will say is I do agree with you, Rich, that I want to see something happen. I don't like this never-ending limbo.
Well, do we know how many
well, there was a discussion about that. Like if you are like on the LIV and you have X amount of like whatever points, like you're automatically in. I think there was like 3 or 4 spots for that, or I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, right?
Yeah.
For the majors.
For the majors, though.
Well, and it was, I believe, specifically for the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And so will they take that sort of structure and apply that to who gets to come back and play in the PGA Tour? I don't know.
Well, I'm fine with Tour and LIV being separate. Like, as far as like, I don't want LIV to go away, right? I don't want PGA to go away. Like, there's
when LIV guys want to come play PGA, it should be just fine.
Yeah, there should be something about that they get to, or so many. I don't know if it's so many rounds or if it's when it doesn't compete with it. Because I know sometimes in a weekend you have LIV and PGA playing at the same time.
Is it weird? And I know this is me, not devil's advocating, but just because I do agree with all this. I like LIV. I want to see all the guys play together. But there is this side of the world where a bunch of players said, "Oh, we're going over to this other tour. We're taking a big paycheck for doing this. It's a big sacrifice. Our stardom's going to go down. We're going to lose sponsors, but we're going to go explore this new opportunity." Now we're over here exploring this opportunity saying, can we just get this thing put back together? Like, is that weird?
That's an interesting.
They're like, well, you're the one who left the room and you're complaining you're not in the room anymore. Like, what?
Well, to an extent, the problem is when you have things like the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be the best players from the United States versus the best player, right? It's supposed to be the best players,
right? Not
the best PGA players. It's supposed to be the best players. Because wasn't that the same problem with the Olympics?
Yeah. Well, did the LIV guys compete in the Olympics? Were they not? They weren't eligible to? I can't even remember. That feels like 2 years ago.
I feel like Rahm did, right? But he's not US, right? So he was
right. Yeah. He was representing Spain,
right?
Yeah.
But I think for the US, I don't think they had any LIV guys. I could be wrong. Google probably would tell us.
Yeah.
5-time major Brooks Koepka was the only LIV player to compete at the 2023 Ryder Cup. He's one of the 6 captain's picks.
I love that. Like he wasn't like an automatic shoe-in because the automatic ins were based on PGA Tour standings and all that. But the captain was like, yeah, but we still want Koepka. So like whatever those rules are, bring it in, buddy. Which Keegan Bradley said he's doing the same thing. He goes, I don't care what the rules are. I want the best players from the United States competing on the United States Ryder Cup team. So I will be making my selections accordingly. Right. Which, you know, I mean, listen, dude's got a hell of a mustache. He's making good decisions all the way around. I love that stash. You've got big respect all day long.
Maybe during the summer, I lose the beard and just rock the full stash.
Dude, maybe, you know what? You're really going to start dialing the golf game. Right. Maybe you go Keegan Bradley stash.
I mean, you look like you'd be a good Fu Manchu guy.
Oh, there's a picture of that out there somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rich has experimented.
Oh, yeah.
You know how it is, like when you grow it out long, as you're shaving it, you like make up fun stuff on your way to.
And then I just shave a little, stop.
Yeah. Instead of like for a few minutes, it was like for a few days, which was even way more fun. We got to like really experience it out in the wild. Well, speaking of LIV golfers, Bryson DeChambeau, finally
stoked about that.
Breaks 50. Now,
stoked.
He did switch up the format a little bit.
True.
You know, we'd been seeing previously, it would be him and one other person, and they would, you know, go for the challenge. This particular time, it was with Garrett Clark and Grant Horvat, 2 phenomenal golfers, absolutely phenomenal golfers. But however, he had tried with other pro golfers, and these guys aren't, you know, quote unquote pro golfers.
Yeah.
You know, who did he do? He had Phil Mickelson. He had, I don't even remember. I'm like losing track. There's been so many at this point. But either way, a couple of YouTube golfers step up to the plate and they finally do it. And they not only broke it, they shot 48.
Let's just give Grant or Garrett the credit for like carrying the front 9.
So you watched that. I've only seen, of course, the TikTok and Instagram sort of clips, but give us kind of your take on it.
Well, it's funny because like they were in the same big cart and like Garrett and Grant were like by each other, and then Bryson's driving. And then they were like kind of like making fun of Bryson, like, and he said something to where they lost their minds laughing, and it was just so great because he went with the joke and made it even more funny by making fun of himself.
Were they into like a 4-man cart or something like that?
It was like one of you could probably fit like 6 people in there.
Okay, yeah, like the benches in the back. Yeah.
Or the limo.
Yeah, but like I mean, Garrett right off the get, putt, then putt, and then there's one part where there's a 269-yard par 4, and he hits an iron to like 15, 20 feet, makes the putt itself. Like he shot like 10 under by himself on the front 9 or something.
Wow.
Well,
do we feel though it's kind of a little cheating?
What, having 3?
Having 3 opposed to the 2. It's always been the 2.
Sort of.
Like, I mean, I feel like
because Trump and him almost did it together.
They hit 50.
Yeah, that's amazing. And he's 70 something, like you said.
Like,
but what I really enjoyed, this shows Garrett how much of a class act this kid is. Like at the end, they gave him Bryson the putt for 48, not any. That is cool. Make the putt. And I was like, cool. Nice.
Good respect.
I was curious because I did see that moment on the feed. If for whatever reason he doesn't make the putt, like you're like, listen, we have 2 more tries. We're gonna make it.
Right.
Let's make this video perfect. Just put your ball back. You can have mine. We want, you know what I mean? Like, bring it home.
There's no movie magic. They did it in 48.
Yeah. I think they all have too much, I don't know, respect and integrity for the game.
One of my favorite 50s, break 50s, was when John Daly did it.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm going to watch that today.
Well, and the great thing is they played at the Hick, which Rich and I's brother Joe is a member at. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun watching them tear up a golf course that I've played a ton of times. Yeah. And dude, he was in rare form that day. Well, no, he was in usual form that day.
Just in form. He at one point asked me, he's like, so because he's just slamming his White Claws or whatever he's drinking.
He was drinking Good Boys, the John Daly drink.
Yes, he was drinking the Good Boys, and he's like, "How many did you have before you started today?" He's like, "I don't know, like 8 or 10." Like,
and he's out there in his like custom golf cart, which is just hilarious.
And then they end up like chugging chocolate milk. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's that from.
Which the funny part too is the guy who brought the chocolate milk out, guy's named Shane. Yeah. I know him. He's a crazy cool dude. Like literally like one of the coolest dudes. So you're like watching it. I'm like, oh, I know what hole they're on. Like I know that. And then all of a sudden here comes Shane. I'm like, oh my God, there's Shane bringing like the chocolate milk. But they did. And it was like, they filled the styrofoam cups. But the best part was, he was like, well, how much do you do? He's like, oh, you do kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's like, but I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like just dumping the syrup in there and stirring it and spilling. And then he just slams it.
Oh, yeah, but he spilled most of it. And then he acted like he won. And then Bryce's like, you spilled half.
Like, you know, I mean, not to get technical here, but I saw some milk.
Do you think Bryson was just kind of like awkward with it all because he was so hammered and like now we're chugging milk and
well, here's because like it's like John Daly and it's like how do you tell a guy that does this all the time like he probably plays great super drunk and or you know blah blah so like there was like this seriousness that he wanted to partake because he does want to break 50, but then he's like, well, if I don't go with John, I'll ruin his vibe.
And then Daly's like hitting one-handed irons.
Yeah, like you know, he's like this kind of matters. Like I'm doing a thing here.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite break 50s though.
I can't believe I haven't watched it now.
You've never seen it?
No, it'll be exciting because you guys are a member there. So like it'll be fun to see those holes.
Yeah, it was definitely a high point for the Bryson DeChambeau Break 50 series. On to other creators playing golf. They're bringing back the Creator Classic.
Wonderful. Which
I don't know, Rich, if you caught last year. And for our listeners and viewers at home, Creator Classic, of course, was something they did last year where they brought out a bunch of internet golfers, content creators, and let them play on the PGA Tour course, full PGA Tour setup the day before the tournament started. And they're bringing it back to TPC Sawgrass.
Nice.
That's going to be happening at the Players. So potentially the Players is going to have LIV Golf players. It's going to have a bunch of YouTube. Like, which one does Bryson play on? Does he go to the Creator Classic or does he just go win the Players? I don't know. But here's the lineup. A few the same and a few notable changes. Of course, we got the Bryan brothers, George and Wesley Bryan. Fat Perez, he's going to be coming back. Gabby Golf Girl. Our guy Roger Steele, he's coming back again. Grant Horvat. Kyle Berkshire, which I think is a lot of fun. He's, of course, world champion long drive guy. Seeing him take those long drive skills and see how that plays against some of these more like calculated golfers like the Bryan Bros. Who else we got? We got Tisha Allen. We have Solly from the No Laying Up podcast. And then I love this, a Barstool representative to be determined via an in-house qualifier.
Oh, what's that qualifier going to be?
Yeah, I don't know, but I love
probably not golf related at all.
That they were given a spot, and then now they're going to kind of play a showdown of some sort, or like a combine or whatever they're going to do,
right?
And then they get to fill that spot. So I think I love. There's like a layer to that layer. But here's kind of what I find interesting. Well, of course, Luke Kwan, who won the last Creator Classic in 2024, won't be back. Also, Garrett Clark is not on the list to be back. But here's what I find fun. The tournament will consist of 8 holes of stroke play, beginning on the par 4 10th hole and concluding on the Players Stadium course iconic Island Green 17th hole, with the top 3 finishers advancing to a 1-hole sudden death playoff, again on the world famous 17th. So it's I just love that this thing like not only finishes on 17, but then does a follow-up sudden death 3-player back on 17 again. So they're going to be facing down the infamous Island Green back-to-back twice in a row. I don't know. I think it's kind of a fun format.
Did I hear that correctly? Are they doing only 9 holes?
Yeah, which is the same. That's what they did last time.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So the 10 people that you listed, is that the only 10 that's playing?
Yeah.
Or?
That is.
So that's why is it not
9 holes is like a tease.
Yeah, but why isn't it in groups of 4? I guess it's 2, 2, and 2, or like I don't know.
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure of like the purpose of the amount, but it's quick. The whole thing kind of happens fairly quick, and it I believe it airs on. Let's see, it'll be on the PGA Tour's YouTube channel, the Golf Channel, and ESPN Plus, as well as other streaming platforms. So potentially even for like television time or whatever, they've got a certain window that this all has to happen within. So I guess too many players, too many groups, too much airtime. Doesn't make sense.
Dude,
doesn't
I totally
work.
agree with you though with the 17 thing, because like at any time, all 3 players could hit in the water
Easily.
You know, like that'd be fun.
Yeah, or even like it's going to be the top 3. The guy in
or
first,
they could Ricky Fowler it,
which is
just 3 like in the tournament that when he won players, like he like hit the ball right next to the hole, made the putt. Then they went in the playoff again. They played 17, hit the ball right next to the hole, made the putt. And I think it was like another one. And I mean, he did it 3 times. I think he birdied 3 times in a row. Like,
just dialed.
Insane.
Just dialed.
And the pin was in such a crazy spot.
So 2 things. It says it's going to be in the afternoon of March 12th. I don't see a time for it starting. But how come Fat Perez is playing and Bob's not?
Fat Perez is a phenomenal golfer.
Yeah.
And Bob is very entertaining.
I love,
But that was sort of one of the reasons that they like, dude, we need to bring this guy into our group. I guess they told the story. I'm going to tell it completely wrong. But at some point, like Bob was at like, I don't know, down at Pinehurst or somewhere. Yeah. And one of his guys who was always a part of his online stuff they were doing in the comments and everything, he was like a regular, was like, hey, I'm down here too. We should get together and play. And they play and they're like, this dude is phenomenal. Not only is he funny, he's got his own look, he's interesting, whatever. He's phenomenal, like scratch golfer. You know what I mean? And
I love that you said he's got his own look.
Like, you know, he's got the hair,
nice
the whole thing, whatever.
His own look.
And they were just like, holy shit! Like this dude's the guy. Like, the way they tell the story, it was like sort of like an instant match made in heaven. They're like, you need to be a part of this whole thing.
Nice.
But the sort of the catalyst to it all was how fantastic he is at playing golf. And whenever they do these scrambles and they're competing against people, it's really Fat Perez who carries the team.
What's the other guy's name?
Joey Coldcuts.
Yeah. Is it Joey Coldcuts?
And then there's Jet. Jet is another guy in there.
Who's the one that kind of looks like Fat Perez?
You probably
Big Mo on Good.
No. In their group.
Oh,
Joey Coldcuts is the other bigger guy.
Yeah, I think it's Joey Coldcuts. Like I was watching one of them where they were doing they had to do like a beer a hole or something like that. And he's just walking across the screen. He's like, these guys are hammered. Like every guy's like, dude, what do you mean these guys?
You're hammered.
He's like, no, I'm totally sober. He's like, why would you say that? He's like, it's the hat that makes you. It's like, well, yeah, it's your hat and also your face and the way you just said that. Like,
it's my hat that makes me look drunk.
It was so good.
Wow. All right. Well, coming up this weekend, we got the Mexico Open, which absolutely nobody will be watching as usual.
Is that really like, because I've seen it's on here for the last 3 years. I didn't know they played in Mexico. It makes sense.
Yeah,
but
it's sort of like an off week. You know what I mean? Like you've got, you got Waste Management and Pebble and the Genesis, and then like the Mexico Open, like a lot of these guys don't go play. Like you're not seeing all the big names there. Last year, Jake Knapp won. Which was incredible. Here's the thing about it, and this is kind of what I love about it all. Jake Knapp, a literal, I'm not going to say a no name, I'm just saying not a name that anybody was aware of, got his moment to be a breakout star. And the fun story around it was a year and a half prior to the Mexico Open, he was working as a bouncer at a bar.
No shit.
Yeah. So here you go. This guy's literally just checking IDs and
Don't step on his lie.
Don't step on his lie. Wins the Mexico Open and instantly is just a household name. Like Jake Knapp is just a tour player we all know. If you're going to go through and name them all, he's in the list. So that's where I do appreciate some of these events where you're not getting every single top tier name and A-list player, because there are moments like that where we get to discover who a Jake Knapp is. The year before it was won by Tony Finau, and prior to that it was won by John Rahm. And of course he's going to be, I think Ludwig Oberg is playing, who won last week at the Genesis. So we'll see. It could be interesting. Do we get a big household name, or are we going to have another moment where we get another breakout star?
Can I ask a question? Who won the Genesis?
Ludwig.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And the fun thing was,
I love that Gary asked the question. It wasn't me, because I'm always the one who asks those kind of questions.
Because I had called Scotty to win and he was doing well. So I was like, I didn't even see if Scotty won. I was like,
well, none of us jinxed Ludwig. So that's why we didn't screw him. So we had a chance to let his talent shine.
I didn't even know who he was till last week.
You didn't, you
swear to God. That's what I saw. I'm like, who is this dude? Like, this dude is on the level.
Dude, he's a
level.
beast. But what was kind of fun about TGL, 2 weeks ago, Rory won Pebble, came the following day and played in TGL. Last week, Ludwig wins Genesis, comes and plays the following day. He's there at TGL.
Well, so here's a question, because your boy Tony won. It says here T1 in 23.
Yeah.
Does Tony win Mexico and then come play?
I hope so.
Oh, come on.
Right?
Let's go. Let's go, Big Tone. Come on.
That'd be fun.
You know what? I feel like he owes it to us.
Right.
It's the least Tony Finau could do. I'm just saying. You know what? Here's the thing, though. I'm not calling him to win. I won't do that to him.
I will. I am.
Oh,
I'm
no.
calling.
Sorry, Tony.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna tweet you an apology tweet or whatever. I don't know.
Who's gonna be the first one of us to call a week?
To actually predict a win?
Yeah.
Josh. No, I'm kidding. I mean, totally kidding.
His record is equally as terrible.
Charizard's not playing in the tournament.
We're all zeros. We're all zeros.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So where is it? Down in Mexico City, or is it like Tijuana?
You know, I don't even know if the players know. I mean,
it's in the Gulf of America.
It's in the Gulf.
It's in the, it's overlooking the Gulf of America. Beautiful views.
Great views.
Yeah, quite honestly, I have no idea. And it'll probably be another one of the many beautiful courses that I don't play ever, but I'd like to. I think we've covered it all.
Love it.
Josh was here. We
Josh,
might have
you did so good.
had more topics to cover, but he wasn't here to run a show for us. All right, gentlemen, that's it. We'll catch all you guys next week right here on the Dance Golf World Show.